Okay, let's unpack this a bit. You know that feeling, that kind of jolt when your phone updates overnight and suddenly does something totally new?
Oh, yeah.
Or when some tech you thought you knew just changes, almost becomes something else.
Hmm.
That's this constant digital churn we're all living through, and it's really hitting education hard. It can feel, well, overwhelming, like a tidal wave.
Definitely. But like you said, within that wave, there's also this huge potential, right, for how we learn, how we teach.
Exactly. And that's really the territory we're getting into today.
We are. We've got this really insightful document from the UNESCO Digital Library. It's focused squarely on generative AI and, what it might mean for the future of education.
Think of it like an early map for a landscape that's still, well, emerging.
That's a good way to put it, outlining some potentially massive shifts.
So our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to navigate that report and pull out the really essential insights for you. The key things to understand about how generative AI is likely to reshape education.
Yeah, and we want to keep it pretty straightforward, right? Engaging without getting lost in all the super technical jargon.
Exactly. Just give you a clear picture of what seems to be on the horizon.
Okay, so one of the first things that jumps out from the report is just the sheer speed of it all, this digital revolution.
Right.
It's not just, another software update. It feels fundamentally different this time.
It really does.
Yeah.
If you think about the progression,
Right.
you had personal computers changing things, then the internet just blew everything wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And social media became this, I don't know, massive global thing. And now, generative AI.
And each step feels faster somehow, with maybe deeper implications.
Yeah, exactly. And the report makes a really critical point early on. These past technological shifts haven't actually benefited everyone equally.
That's crucial. Access has been uneven.
Totally uneven. And the effects, well, thinking about social media, they haven't always been purely positive either, have they?
No, definitely not. Which brings up this huge question as we look at generative AI.
Which is
Can we steer this? Can we guide its development, its use in education, so that it actually helps bridge the gaps that already exist?
instead of making them wider.
Exactly. Instead of widening them. The report suggests that has to be like a core consideration from day one.
Okay, so that's the context. Now, one of the first big themes the report dives into is language.
Right. Language.
It highlights how generative AI, because it's so advanced at processing and, well, generating language, it can almost seem like the machines understand, like they actually control what they're saying.
And this is where it gets really fundamental, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, this apparent understanding, it really pushes against some of our basic ideas about intelligence itself, what knowledge is, even our relationship with technology.
So when a machine spits out text that sounds thoughtful, informed,
It makes you stop and think, right? What does that mean?
yeah, it kind of turns things upside down.
Yeah.
If a chatbot can write a decent essay or summarize something complex super fast,
Hmm.
what does that say about our whole learning process?
What does it mean to really know something anymore?
Right. The UNESCO report suggests this tech could really force us to reevaluate some pretty deep-seated beliefs. About education, sure, but maybe even about society more broadly.
Absolutely. And if you connect that directly to, well, the nature of knowledge,
Okay.
the report points out that these AI chatbots, they offer a totally different way to get information compared to, say, Googling something.
That'll be different.
Instead of getting a list of links you have to sift through, the AI synthesizes information and just gives you a direct answer. It generates it for you.
Which, on the surface, sounds amazing, right?
Ah.
Super convenient. Instant info.
Hugely convenient. But, and this is a big but in the report.
Uh-oh. Here comes the red flag.
Exactly. The report really emphasizes that this AI-generated content, it isn't based on actual human understanding or critical thinking.
So how does it work then?
It's essentially finding patterns in enormous amounts of text data. So the output might sound perfectly plausible, very convincing even,
Wow.
but it could easily miss crucial nuances or lack context or, frankly, just be plain wrong factually.
Okay, so the risk isn't just getting a bad answer. It's maybe something deeper.
I think so. The report hints at this. If we get too reliant on AI just feeding us answers, what happens to our own ability to think critically, to analyze, to solve problems ourselves?
Our sort of mental muscles might get weaker.
Potentially, yeah. And that leads straight into another really big question the report raises about authority.
Authority and liability.
Exactly. In a world awash with AI-generated content that sounds believable, how do we know what's trustworthy? Who or what becomes the authority on truth?
That's a heavy question. And it brings us right to the heart of it, I guess, the thing you're probably thinking about right now. What does all this actually mean for the future of education?
The million-dollar question.
Right. If AI can do so many of the traditional academic tasks, writing essays, solving math problems, summarizing texts, what's the role of the teacher? What should kids even be learning?
And the report is, well, pretty upfront about the uncertainty here. It acknowledges we don't fully know yet what skills, what competencies future education systems will need to focus on.
There's a worry, though, isn't there? Mentioned in the report.
Yes, a significant concern that if we lean too heavily on skills that are easy to measure, the kinds of things AI might be good at assessing,
Hmm. Then we might lose something important.
we might inadvertently sideline the development of deeper understanding. Creativity, critical analysis, those harder to measure human skills.
And what about personalization? That's
Yeah.
always touted as a big benefit of AI in education. Tailoring learning.
It sounds fantastic and the potential is there, but the report puts a very strong emphasis on equity alongside that. Meaning we have to be incredibly careful that this technology doesn't just widen the gaps that already exist. We can't have a situation where some students get these advanced AI tutors and others get left even further behind.
So access and fairness are paramount.
Absolutely critical. And given how fast this is all moving and the potential downsides we've touched on,
Yeah.
the report really stresses the urgency. We need careful thought. We need considered integration of AI in education, not just a free-for-all.
It feels a bit like the tech is sprinting ahead, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And our understanding, our ability to validate it, is still jogging to catch up.
That's a good analogy. The report points out that many people using these tools right now, maybe even educators, might not fully grasp the deeper implications.
So we need to think about the values baked into these AI tools.
Precisely. We need to ask, is it accurate? Is it appropriate for the age group? Does it align with good teaching practices? Does it respect cultural differences?
It's not just about does it work,
Mm.
but does it work well and ethically and for everyone?
That's the core of it. The report calls for clear guidelines, for guardrails that prioritize all those things.
And independent checking, making sure these tools are actually vetted.
Yes, that's highlighted too. The importance of independent review and validation. We need confidence that these tools are reliable and genuinely beneficial for learning, not just flashy.
Okay, so UNESCO, the organization that put out this report, they're not just sitting back and watching this unfold. They're trying to be proactive.
Very much so. They're actively working with countries, trying to help develop strategies and ethical frameworks for AI in education.
Have they done this kind of thing before?
Yes, this builds on earlier work. The report mentions things like the 2019 Beijing Consensus on AI in Education. That laid some groundwork.
Okay.
And also the more recent recommendation on the ethics of AI, which is broader but highly relevant. So this new document fits into that ongoing effort.
So they're not starting from square one. And it sounds like collaboration is key to their approach.
Absolutely. The report strongly advocates for international cooperation. Dialogue.
Makes sense. This is too big for one country or one sector.
Exactly. It needs governments, educators, the tech industry, civil society, everyone talking and working together. And UNESCO's core commitment, running through all this, is ensuring AI advancements ultimately support education that is inclusive, high quality, and equitable.
For everyone. Everywhere.
That's the goal.
Now, the report also flags some newer or maybe evolving challenges that come with these digital technologies, even beyond the specific AI tools themselves.
Yes, and a really major one is the digital divide. It keeps coming up.
Because AI can make it worse.
That's the real risk highlighted. If implementation isn't managed really carefully, AI could absolutely worsen existing inequalities. The very students who might benefit most could be further marginalized if they lack access or the necessary digital skills.
It's that constant tension again, isn't it? This amazing potential for personalized learning on one side, but this serious danger of leaving people behind on the other.
And tackling that requires significant investment. The report specifically calls out the need for public investment.
Not just letting the market decide everything.
Right. Investment to develop and roll out AI in education responsibly, ethically. It's not just about buying the tech. It's about building the support systems, the training, the infrastructure.
To make sure it actually works for all learners?
Exactly. And ultimately, it comes back to a fundamental question the report poses. How do we make sure AI in education serves humanistic goals? Meaning it fosters not just job skills, but also core values, a deeper understanding of the world, empathy, critical thinking in a broader sense.
So it sounds like what you're saying, and what the report is saying, is that generative AI isn't just a new tool. It's forcing a fundamental rethink of what education is even for.
I think that's exactly right. The report argues pretty strongly for a fundamental reevaluation.
Because the old model doesn't quite fit anymore.
The traditional focus on, say, memorizing facts and recalling information, it feels increasingly less relevant when an AI can do that instantly and often more comprehensively.
So the shift needs to be towards...
Towards cultivating those uniquely human skills. Critical thinking, sure, but also creativity, complex problem solving, collaboration, the abilities that AI complements rather than replaces.
And it's not just about jobs, is it? It's also about helping people understand this world that's being shaped by AI.
Definitely. Education needs to equip individuals to be informed, discerning users of this technology, to understand its potential, its limitations, its ethical dimensions.
So navigating the world with AI, not just being subject to it.
Precisely. And that brings us back really to the central challenge laid out in the report. How do we reshape education to prepare people for this AI-driven future?
While holding on to what makes us human.
Exactly. While preserving and valuing our humanity, it's a profound task and one that needs ongoing conversation.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it seems crystal clear from the UNESCO report that generative AI is, well, a major moment for education, a turning point.
No doubt about it. Incredible opportunities, yes, but also some really significant challenges.
And navigating this requires real thoughtfulness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A strong ethical compass, and maybe a willingness to fundamentally question how we've always done things in education.
That seems essential. We can't just layer AI onto the old system. We need to rethink the system itself.
And as AI gets woven more and more into the fabric of our lives, maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is this.
As these powerful algorithms become commonplace, what are the core aspects of human learning, of human development, that we should strive to keep uniquely human?
What parts should remain untouched by algorithms? And in this rapidly evolving landscape, what does it truly mean to be educated?
Yeah, that's something worth pondering, I think, as we all try to figure out the way forward.